Let's go to Stephanie in Rockford, Illinois. What's up, Stephanie?
Hey, how are you, John?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it. What's up?
All right. So I have a teenage daughter. She is 15. And about a year ago, she was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. So the reason I'm calling is because I'm struggling parenting with that.
Okay.
How do you know, like, consequences and stuff like that? Because obviously her health is more important than the dishes being done. But I still don't want to raise, I still want to raise a good human. So
right. Tell me the origin of the depression, anxiety. Where does that come from?
Her dad, a year and a half ago, my husband, died by suicide.
Oh boy, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So it's all very new to both of us. And
so was she a happy-go-lucky kid, and this was just a left turn?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Completely.
So
you got
I'm going to say
teenager, you got depression, you got grief, you got it all.
It's not that. It's not my place to comment on diagnostics because I'm not in your sessions and I'm not in her sessions with whatever provider she's getting diagnosed from. But grief is hard, and complex grief is hard. And I just don't believe, this is personal, I just don't believe in diagnostics on the back end of such an explosion in the middle of a home.
Mm-hmm.
There is any behavior she has, whether she's running low or she's anxious, is absolutely normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the diagnostic helps any. So let me ask this. How have you been?
I think in survival mode for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
She was hospitalized in January, and
was she suicidal as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. No attempt, but still suicidal. So
was she suicidal? I guess she wasn't, not acutely, but I guess if she was hospitalized, that means she was pretty far down the road, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does she want to be dead, or does she want to stop hurting?
She wants to stop hurting.
Okay. And do you get the difference there?
Yes.
Okay.
It's taken a while. But
yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a very hard question that I don't mean in a shaming way at all? This is just me collecting data, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Has she felt over the last year that she's got to prop you up too?
I don't know. I would like to say no, but I'm sure that there's been times. For the most part, though, I would say no.
Okay. Did your husband, was this a surprise, or had he been struggling for a long time?
No, it was a surprise.
Oh, boy. I'm so sorry, Stephanie. Man. So, coming out of the fog, I'm gonna just pretend here that 18 months and there's that gnawing reality that this is real, and there's that low level just weight that sits on you. Is that still there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It just kind of is. Have you had moments where you laughed and you felt guilty for laughing?
Yeah.
Have you had moments where you, like, somebody makes your heart beat a little faster and you feel guilty about it?
No.
Okay. Have you been profoundly lonely?
I was
Okay.
working on that part.
Good. Have
Mhm.
you felt guilty? Like you should have known something or said something or done something?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So here's what we do coming out of survival is the sooner you can, well, number one, you can't rush grief. It just is. And it's a pain. It just is. It's awful and it's hard and it's right and it's the worst. And it just is. Okay. Um, there's some ways to manage it and there's some things you can do over time so that when that fog begins to lift that you can breathe. Okay. But the quicker you and her, do you have any other kids?
No, just her.
Okay. The quicker you two recognize that there's not ever going to be a going back to normal, that we have to change everything, that everything is new now. That's a horrifying feeling of it's just a period at the end of a long, messy, weepy sentence. But it's also when the light starts to come on because now you get to build what comes next. And what I would suggest is the path out for your daughter is feeling like she is participating in going towards something, not trying to survive something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is you've heard me say this a lot, and I would love to see you try it out. That you and your daughter go somewhere and spend a day or two or a weekend and have some sort of ceremony where you put to bed what was. This was our life. And now this is our life, and we get to construct it however we want. And here's the question we're going to answer. Who are we going to be? And we're going to talk in that, who are we going to be? We're going to be people who take care of our bodies. So we're going to go for walks every day together. And we're not going to eat pizza every night. Like, we're going to take care of ourselves. That's who we're going to be. We're going to be people of service. We're going to be people who think about other people before we think of ourselves. We're going to be people who get stuff done. So I'll do the dishes, you do this. Does that make sense? And out of that, we're going to give ourselves jobs and we're going to commit to holding each other accountable. The goal here is little wins. And the temptation is to say, hey, you got to do the dishes. She doesn't do them. You get mad, and that drives her further into a hole, which is just a normal pattern that parents and teens have. This is just an accelerated, or actually it's a dampened a dance. That's the same dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a little bit different. This is who we are. This is how we do life together now. And so she is going to participate in the life of the household. She's not just going to do crap to keep mom off her back. Do you see the difference?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that starts with you saying, I'm going to commit to getting well during this season of grief. Your teenage daughter is going to watch her mom for how she's supposed to act.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a lot of responsibility on you.
Yeah. I tried to, just get up and do things, but
no, not like that.
Having that conversation is much different.
Has she seen you be sad?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good thing, by the way. Giving her permission to feel sad is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Letting her see her mom be sad is okay. In fact, that's a gift to her. Now it's about finding purpose in that home with this new life y'all are creating together. In this conversation y'all have, it would be, where do you want to go to college? Let's start having that conversation. What do you think you might want to be? How could we make meaning of dad's passing away? Maybe she wants to go be a psychologist. Maybe she wants to go to med school. Maybe she wants to be an architect. Who knows what she wants to do, but let's start looking at what is tomorrow going to look like and what are the things we need to do right now. Have you sat down and had a conversation similar to that?
No. I
Okay.
mean, no, not that one sounds very much harder than the conversations we've had.
Here's why it's hard. Because when your husband died by suicide, life as you knew it was over.
hmm
And we focus a lot in our grief on the person, and we forget, or we don't even know, that everything is different.
hmm
A lot of times people will run out and get remarried within 3 months or 6 months because they're trying to get back to normal. The body's job is to get back to homeostasis. It tries. And there is no homeostasis here. Everything's in ash.
hmm
Everything. In this conversation, do we sell the house? Do you want to move to a new town? Do I need to get a new job? Like, right? We're having those conversations.
hmm
And she's going to play a part in it. She doesn't get the final say. And I would let her know, I'm the mom, so I'm going to make the final call. But I want to hear where your heart is. She doesn't get everything she wants, but hey, what are some things you want to be? Who are we going to be? We're going to go to concerts. We are going to do things intentionally to bring joy into our lives, however hard it will be. And we're going to buy tickets to concerts, and we may listen to 2 songs. And we're just going to leave because one of us starts crying. That's okay. Right?
Yeah.
How are you financially?
Okay. I mean, obviously inflation is not the greatest, but
Right.
yeah, we're okay.
Have you had to sell that? Have you sold the house?
No, we're still in the house.
Okay. Have you considered selling the house?
I'm to that point that I think I would be able to.
Okay.
Where he died was by a tree, and that tree just fell on a random weekend. And I felt like I could leave then.
Okay.
It took that. Like before I felt like I couldn't. Like I just couldn't.
There's something profound about environment when it comes to grief.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that everybody who has somebody pass away has to sell their house, has to leave the state, but there is something freeing about changing the environment, changing, quite honestly, everything. Some people stay in the same city and move houses. Some people just Control Alt Delete and say, I'm going to go. I've realized how precious and short life is. I always wanted to be a teacher. I'm going back to school to get my teaching certificate. Or I wanted to be a nurse. I'm going to get my nursing degree. Like whatever happens, these are the moments that y'all sit down and you have these conversations together. And here's why the conversation with her is so important. Instead of you going off and doing this by yourself and making an announcement, because you get to model for her what the process of thinking and feeling and weeping and putting your foot down looks like. You get to say, I've always wanted to do this and I never did it. And I think I'm going to go back to school and do it. And it's going to be hard and it's going to be scary and it's going to be whatever. But I get to be in control of what comes next, however hard that is. And she gets to get a picture of what that looks like because she doesn't have a picture of what to do when dad dies by suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She doesn't have a picture of how do you replant after the forest burns down. And that's what you're going to offer her. And by the way, you may not have that picture either.
Yeah, because I mean, we really didn't make any changes. You know, we just continued on without him here.
Yeah. And even if y'all end up in a very similar situation, doing these very similar things, and she's going to the same school and all that stuff, the exercise in and of itself is valuable. And I want you to also hear the big picture. I have not focused on her anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
Those are particular snapshots of a particular season of her life right now. If she's suicidal, she's got to go back to the hospital. If you find out she's going to take her own life, you got to call 911 and do the whole thing over again, okay? And there may be more of that as a 15-year-old tries to wrestle with the overwhelming sense of dread and doom and hurt that she's going through right now. And there may be something to letting her know, or guarantee that she's asking herself, what was so bad about me that dad felt he had to go?
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you've asked yourself that question too.
Yep.
It would really be helpful to her to let her know that you're asking that question as well.
Okay.
It would also be really helpful for her to know that dad wasn't well. Dad was sick. Had nothing to do with y'all.
I've tried to say that one.
I know. But let her know that you're having the same concerns inside yourself too. Stephanie,
I don't think I've done that. Yeah.
I'm just heartbroken for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate hearing though that, her anxiety and depression may, it may be a season. It may not be.
I don't think your daughter's broken. Mm-hmm. I don't think she's malfunctioning. I think her body's doing exactly what a 15-year-old body should be doing right now when dad dies by suicide, which is every alarm it's got is going off to the point that the body gets exhausted and then it runs really low, turns everything off.
Mm-hmm.
I think depression and anxiety are on the same trend line. They work together. And so it's a body that tells me it's a body trying to figure out where it is in space. Not to mention the hormones and the growing and all the other things that come along. The just general crap of being 15, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You put that on top of I'm completely untethered from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you got a kid that just wants to stop everything. I just want to stop. And so let's begin to have a conversation of what does it look like to rebuild a life worth living in the shadow of what we've experienced. And that shadow is going to be as long as it's going to be. The shadow's not going to go away. But what you're going to find over time is that y'all are going to grow beyond the shadow. Shadow will always be there. But you're going to find that you grow way beyond that shadow. It's just hard to see it right now because everything's dark.
Mm-hmm.
This may be a conversation that you have with a counselor. I think, quite honestly, I think you've been thoughtful enough. You've got people in your life. I think you can write this stuff down and you can take her out for a girls' weekend and give yourself a moment to point back to in time. This is when we went out. This is when we created this new family values. This is when we decided what our last name is going to be. This is when we decided where we're going to live for the next year. And then we're going to figure it out after that. This is when we decided whether you're going to college, where I'm going to keep working here. This is where we made some decisions. And we held those decisions really loosely because plans change and grief is a terrible master. But this is when we started looking for the light again. And this is when that little girl feels less crazy because mom opens up and says, hey, I'm going through that too. And dad wasn't okay, and it wasn't because he didn't love you. Dad loved you so much, and so for some reason he thought you would be better off with him not here. And God, we know he's wrong on this side of that choice, but we get to work together to create what happens next. I'm so sorry.